Okay, the recording has started, and I'm going to switch over and share your screen. Okay, so this is
Can we take notes?
yes. So in fact, let me go ahead and pull up my protocol for that, because on this one I simplified it and I didn't add the protocol. So one moment. We'll just use an older page. All right, so we are going to be doing lesson 1.5, solving multi-step equations. And I'm going to get a sheet of paper here, which I'm going to use as a shield here. And I'm just going to bring this up here to remind you of what we are going to do with every single one of these videos. So for lesson 1.5, you are to be taking notes on this lesson in your math notebook. Again, you need to get that math notebook if you haven't yet.
Wait, mister, what was the title?
Okay, the title is, I'm going to bring that back to you in just a moment, 1.5, Solving Multi-Step Equations. Okay? And when I finish the recording and this afternoon, when I upload it to YouTube, you'll be able to start and stop this. So if you need to touch up your notes, you can go back in, and that's the idea. I want it available for people to go back and revisit, and if they see it for the first time, that's what they're taking notes on, or they're just refurbishing their thoughts, going back and reviewing. Okay, so let me go back, and I want you to add this to it. So I want you to take notes on the lesson in your math notebook. If you don't have one yet, please use a sheet of paper, lined paper preferably, and make sure that you get it in to me in the way that we talked about in terms of sending it to me as an email. Here's the header that I want you to use. Again, so you're going to, at the top of your notes, put your name, print it please, full name, first and last, no nicknames please, date, period, and the title of your notes. Okay? So make sure you have put that down. I'll give you a moment just to write that down. Okay, so then when you do your notes, you know that basically you're repeating what I put here, but you're also in the recorded version, you can actually again key in on my words, and if there's something there that I have said that you think is important, add it to your notes. I will annotate as we go along. Please, all annotations I make where I'm writing something in, like I did above, I want you to write. And then if you, once you get through it, then I want you to at least write a sentence or two telling me how you could use what you learned to solve a problem that you think is similar. And then this notes assignment and all notes assignments, you've got to upload to me. Now, I do not have Synergy Upload working right now for me, but it will be working starting next week. Right now, the route is to send me an email where you've taken a picture of all notes. Make sure you take pictures of all of the pages. I don't want to just see one page or a partial page, because I've had a few of those. And send it to me by 11:59 p.m. Sunday. I will say anecdotally, most students have actually been very vigilant about sending these in to me as soon as they could. And then here's my email that you would send it to, joshua.warren@tust.org. And I'll wait a moment. Okay, so I'm going to remove that page and I'm going to go back to the regular page that I started with on solving multi-step equations. So you're going to be able to do that, and all equation. Oh, and then this is the again the worksheet. PL stands for punchline. So PL is what you usually see, and this one says 3.14. That's what I have as my link in Clever. Again, remember, it's not in the calendar, it's actually in my Clever page at the very bottom, next to the calendar. That's the link that'll work in any event. So I put the links in the calendar, but they didn't work, so I put this link outside along with the IXL link for the next assignment, so you can get into those. All right, so what you use to solve linear equations, there can be some simplification. So you will have to use you will have to simplify. So how do you solve multi-step equations? I'm going to write this and I want you to write it. So simplify, and that means combining like terms using PEMDAS. And we've gone over PEMDAS now multiple times. Parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, and addition. That's the order of operations for simplifying. One of the simplifying operations is distribution. I just had you do a distribution assignment. So distribution is a simplifying or combining like terms operation. We'll say multiplication operation. Okay, so after you're done simplifying, then you're going to undo the equation to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. That's also known as solving for that variable, because when you get the variable by itself, you're solving for the variable. So you also use the order of operations, but you do this by using the order of math operations in reverse. So you take the letters of PEMDAS and you just reverse them. So that's SADMAP. So subtraction, addition, division, multiplication, exponents, parentheses, SADMAP. Okay. So it makes some sense when you think about it, because when you are combining like terms, it's kind of like putting on your clothes in the morning. You know, you start with your underwear, and then you go to your socks, and then you go to your pants and your shirt, and if it's wintertime, you put on an overcoat, maybe a hat. So when you want to get down to the variable, which in this case is you in my illustration, well, then you remove the hat and the overcoat, and then you remove the shirt and the pants, and so you're going in exact reverse order. That's all this is. That's all it is. And what you do to one side, you do to the other side. So the order of operations, whether it's forward, known as PEMDAS, or in reverse, known as SADMAPS, it's also known as the properties of equality. Properties of equality. Now, the reason that that is useful information is you've got to remember that, you know, when you have an equation, let's say it's 2x minus 3 equals 4, okay? You have to get this x by itself, and so what you do to one side, you do to the other. So I would add 3 to both sides. So this is now undoing. I don't have anything that I can simplify, so I'm starting with undoing. So if I add 3 to both sides, I eliminate the negative 3 on the right. So that was subtraction, SADMAP, and I did addition, the reverse of that. And then I'm left with 2x, this is eliminated here, equals 7. And then the next step, so that's step 1. So that was add, so that's the addition property of equality. So I'm adding to both sides. And here I'm going to divide, division property of equality. So it started out as multiply and then goes to divide. It will start out maybe this will look like an addition problem, and that's fine. You just do the opposite of addition, that's subtraction. And then you go on, and this looks like a multiplication problem, which is over here with the m, but the opposite of multiplication is divide, so you divide. And so then you eliminate the 2's on the left side because by virtue of the division, you're left with, that means 2 divided by 2 equals 1, so you have 1x left. That's how you eliminate there. And you're left with an answer of 7/2 for the solution. So this step 2 here, that was the division property of equality. Okay, so I'll bring that over here so you can see that. So would you take, I'm going to give you, I'll give you a minute here, 60 seconds to catch up. And I'm going to be watching the clock here. And it's just started. We're at 5 seconds, 6 seconds. And it's a long time. Okay. A minute is up now. Would you please unmute, and if you are not done with what I added to this page, would you please tell me? Okay. So I'm presuming that everybody has gone ahead and done that properly. All right. So now I've got just a couple of problems, and actually 4 problems. So I want you to solve the equation, and then I want you to check the solution. So we're just going to do this together. So I want you to write the question, and I'll give you 30 seconds to go ahead and write this question. So write the question, solve the equation. Do you know how to check the solution? Make sure you write example 2. Okay, could you unmute if you were not able to finish writing that, and let me know that.
Wait.
Okay. Tell me when you're done. So the only thing you're writing is the question, well, the example, solve the equation, and then the question, do you know how to check your solution? Okay, we ready? Okay, so I'm assuming that we are all ready. So we're going to go ahead and go through the 4 examples. So the first one is 2/9 x plus 8 equals 6. So if you would please write that, 2 divided by 9x plus 8 equals 6. I'm sorry, not 6, 16 equals 16. So 2 divided by 9, or 2 over 9, it's a fraction, but it's also a division problem. And that this is really, it's multiplied to the x. So it's always assumed when you have any number, including a fraction, that is right next to a variable and there's no operation sign in between, it's assumed that they're multiplied. So 2 divided by 2 divided by 9 multiplied by x plus 8 equals 16 is how that reads. Okay, so looking at this, I first ask myself, is there anything I can simplify? Can I distribute? And the answer is no. There's no parentheses. There's no numbers sitting outside that I can multiply. Here I have a multiplication problem between the 2 over 9 and the x, but because they're unlikes, I can't do anything there. So the 8 here is added to the 9 over x. But because you got the x here, you can't add the 8 to it directly. So, and then the 16 is all by itself. No simplification, so we're just going to do undoing. So remember, undoing, you're going to use SADMIP. So I look to see, is there anything I could subtract? Well, I've got this addition problem, which is the next thing in line anyway, and I'm going to have to subtract the 8. So that would be the first thing I would do. I'm always starting over here at the side that the variable is on, if I can, because I want to get the variable all by itself. So I'm going to subtract the 8 from both sides. Let's move it over a little bit. Subtract 8. So on the left-hand side, 8 minus 8, that's eliminated. So it's eliminated. And 16 minus 8, well, 2 8s are 16, so that has to be 8. And if you aren't sure, take your calculator. 16 minus 8 equals 60 minus 8 equals 8. So bring down the 2 over 9. 2 divided by 9x. The 8 is eliminated, and that's going to equal the 8. Right? I'm just bringing the 8 down a little further. All right, so now that I've done that, I want to get rid of the fraction. And we could do it one of two ways. Fractions are really division problems, as I said before. 2 divided by 9. So the opposite is multiplication. I could multiply the entire fraction times 9 here, and then I would have an answer of 2, something like that. But the easier way to do this, and then I would have to divide by 2 to get rid of the 2, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. The easier way to do this is just simply to reverse the fraction. Write the fraction as the reciprocal of what we see here. So this is 2 over 9. I'm going to write to the left of it 9 over 2, and I'm going to multiply that times the fraction. And what it's going to do is it's going to create 18 over 18, because 9 times 2 is 18, 2 times 9 is 18. And so 18 divided by 18 is 1. The other way of getting that is just simply to note the numerator and the denominator here is 9 and 9. 9 divided by 9 is 1. And then 2 divided by 2 is 1. And 1 divided by 1 is 1. So that leaves us with 1x. So then the other thing we have to do is multiply the other side by the reciprocal of 2 over 9, and that's 9 over 2. So I'm just going to use a parentheses. All right. And so with this, I'm going to bring this down. X equals 8 times 9 over 2. I can multiply 9 times 8. That's 72, and divide that by 2. So 9 times 8 is 72, and then divide by 2, and you get 36. Okay? So that's what this is. All right? There are different ways of doing it. I could have, divided 2 into 8 and get 4, and 4 times 9 is 36, but the answer at the end of the day is 36. So that's the process that you can do. Now I know it's confusing to students when you've got these multiple ways of doing things. Okay, so latch on to a version that you like and do it that way. But just understand there is more than one pathway. All right. Now, the second problem over here, you'll notice, if you look at it, there's a parentheses here, and there's a 5 outside the parentheses, so that means that I'm distributing the 5 to the 2x and the 5 to the negative 3. So we have to start by simplifying. So we're going to simplify, which means we're going to use PEMDAS. And distribute. Over here, there was no distribution problem. Here there is, so I'll distribute. So I'm going to distribute the 5 to the 2 and the 5 to the negative 3. And distribution, again, is multiplication. So 5 times 2 is 10. And then we have an x here, so the x comes along with it, and we're left with 10x. 5 times negative 3 is negative 15. Again, you can use calculator for all of this. And there's no problem with it. I'm happy with you doing that. And then let's bring down the equal sign and the 60. Now, if you'll notice, you've got a problem similar to this problem over here. There's no fraction. Instead of 2 9s, there's a 10. Instead of a 8, there's a negative 15. And then 60 instead of 16. But it's now a problem that we can undo. So now undo. which is SADMAP. Okay. So add 15 to both sides, because SADMAP, first thing you would do is either subtract or add. This is negative, so that suggests subtraction, but the opposite's adding. So you're going to add. Add 15 to both sides. And so that's the addition property of equality. I'll abbreviate. Addition property of, and then I'm going to put an equal sign for addition property of equality. Now I'm showing you these, and I want you to write them down in your notes, because I'm trying to get you to see the overall process. But when you do the math, unless a test is asking you these things, and they will, the test questions will ask this from time to time, although most of them will just be, problems and you do the work. I'm going to add 15 to both sides. Again, here the negative 15 and the positive 15 are eliminated. I'll bring down the 10x. Here, let's see, 60 plus 15 is 75. I'll bring down the equal sign and the 75. So divide by 10. Division property equality. Okay. So I divide both sides by 10. And so I get, if I do that, 70 is clear. If I take 75, let's bring it down here, and divide it by 10, isn't it? Yeah, 10. So 10's down here. So 1, 0, and hit enter. There's 75 divided by 10. The answer is 7.5. So 7.5. You'll notice that really all you do when you're dividing a number by 10, you can set it up as a decimal, and you're just moving the decimal point over 1 unit because there's 1 0, if you know what you're doing there. But otherwise, just do the calculator and get to this point, and that's at least the minimum that you need. Okay? All right. I'll give you 30 seconds to take a picture of this if you need to. Okay, so we have one more. We have a couple more problems I think that we'll do. There's also another set, but I'm just looking at our time, and I think that this is a plenty. Let's see how different these are. They aren't really that different. So let's just do these two. So this is a little bit more complex. Now, I'm not going to go into all the properties of equality. I'm just going to do the basic math here. I notice I have a parentheses. It looks like I got distribution here. So I'm going to go ahead and do distribution first. So this is PEMDAS. Distribute PEMDAS. So parentheses, what's in the parentheses, there's nothing I can combine there because they're unlikes. But then exponents, they're none. Multiplications next, so I can multiply the 2 to the 7 and the 2 to the n. Or really 2 to the 1 that's presumed to be in front of the n. So I'm going to bring down the 3n. And I'm going to add that to 2 times 7 is 14. And then 2 times, and this is really 1n, so I'm really multiplying the 2 times the 1, not to the n, because the n's an unlike. So 2 times 1 is 2, and then the n comes along. And that equals 59. Okay? So now the problem becomes undoing. And it's SADMAP. So, oh, but wait, I didn't double check here. Notice I have a 3n and a 2n. Those are likes. I can combine those. So I can still combine like terms. So before I undo, I'm going to combine those like terms. So that means 3n, I'm just going to do a little commuting. I'm going to move the 2n over and put it in parentheses together with the 3n. Plus 14 equals 59. So 3n plus 2n is 5n. Plus 14 equals 59. Now that this problem looks really like one of our original simple problems, SADMAP says that we would want to do subtraction first. We have an addition problem, so we're going to subtract 14 from both sides. So subtraction property of equality is occurring there. 14, negative 14 are eliminated. We bring down the 5n. 14 is gone on the left, and 59 minus 14, if you aren't sure again, just use your calculator. So clear it, and I'm going to type over here 59 minus 14. I'm going to click down here, enter, and I get 45. You could probably have done that in your head, but if you can't, you use that calculator, okay? Now you're going to use the division property of equality. You're going to divide by 5. So this was an addition property of equality. This is the division property of equality. Okay? And so 5 divided by 5 is 1. That leaves you with 1n. So the 5's are effectively eliminated. And 45 divided by 5 is 9. Now, again, if you need to, use your calculator. 45 divided by 9 is 5. Okay? Oops. 45 divided by 5. I wrote that down. So it's written correctly here, but in my calculator it should be 45 divided by 5, and that equals 9, which is our solution. Okay. How do we check these? Now we talked about that before, and I got space for it, so I'm going to quickly check this. If I want to check this, I've got to put it. I want to put the 9 in and replace the n in the original equation. So I'm going to go to 3n plus 2 times 7 plus n equals 59. And then I'm going to substitute 9 for n, right? So let's substitute that first. So 3 times 9 plus 2 times 7 plus 9, let's just do it that way, equals 59. Okay, so now we can still simplify using PEMDAS because we have a parentheses here. 7 plus 9 is 16. So I'm going to write 16 times 2 here, and 3 times 9 over here. I'm going to add those together, and that should equal 59. So 3 times 9 is 27. And 2 times 16, 2 6s are 12, 2 1s are 2, 3, so 32. And hopefully that equals 59. Again, you can check all these with your calculator. I'm going to do the last one that way. So 27 plus 32. And then click enter, and I get 59. So 59 equals 59. Okay. So there you have it. Okay. Now I'll let you take a picture of this page in a moment, but let's do the last problem. And so we're actually running out of time. I think we get out of here at 9:40. So what I think we're going to do is I'm going to let you take a picture of this, and I want you to do the last problem on your own. See if you can do it. You should be able to. And so please take a picture of this last page. I'll give you 30 seconds to take the picture, and then I will remind you of what your duties are after this. And I'm going to stop the recording in just a moment. All right, that was a rather long recording, 35 minutes.
Mister, can we get the checked thing?
Can you get the what thing?
Can we look at the checked, how you checked your answer?
Yes, I'm gonna move that up for you in just a second. So, all right, take a picture of that. Can you see it?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the